Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital spoilers allude that Willow Kane and Michael Corinthos' guardianship battle may soon be back on. Will this determined mama score the upper hand after her trial palm? There have surely been some UPS and Campo when it comes to Willow's case, but it's looking like Alexis Davis will pull off a palm in the end. Willow may breathe a shriek of relief if the jury eventually delivers a not shamefaced verdict. Once Willow is formally acquitted, she can concentrate on the visit hearing that's coming up. Of course, Drew Kane is hoping that by also, Michael will be behind bars and Willow will get awarded full guardianship rather. Grounded on GH exercise spoilers for 2026, it looks like Michael will find himself under further police scrutiny after all the new details that have come out in court. Michael's destroyed justification was a big deal that'll inescapably lead to further of indisquisition. After Willow presumably gets off the hook, she may feel like effects are on the upswing in her life. Meanwhile, Michael's worst fears about losing his children could come indeed further of a reality. However, she may rein Michael and get trim about what's coming next, if Willow walks out of that courtroom a free woman. Willow's jitters may subside a bit and leave her feeling like this is only the morning of reclaiming her life, including her part as a mama. GH suckers may see a more confident interpretation of Willow who's ready to fight Michael with everything she's got. However, that could give her a reason to suppose she can negotiate anything. Indeed, if Michael doesn't go to captivity like Drew's counting on, he's going to have plenitude of police dubitation swirling around him if Willow pulled the detector and feels like she got down with tried murder. Michael also used a companion to give the bobbies a fake story, so that's not going to do him any favors when it comes to keeping guardianship of his children. The loose judge bribery situation could also come to light and come a factor in Willow getting a chance at full guardianship of Wiley Corinthos and Amelia Corinthos. You can go. Willow will do everything in her power to get her kiddies back, so Michael will have growing enterprises about Amelia and Wiley being stripped down from him. General Hospital spoilers say Willow and Michael's guardianship feud will come with further curveballs, so stick with us for updates on any big news that'll affect effects in court. General Hospital has Valentine Cassadine ready to make a deal with Jen Sidwell so he can cover Charlotte Cassadine and get help with getting relief of Jack Brennan. Along the way, Valentine might actually wind up saving Anna Devane as well. We're going to talk about how Valentine throws himself to the biggest bad wolf in Port Charles trying to save those he loves, but he's going to get the shock of his life before all is said and done. Valentine upset for Charlotte on General Hospital lately. Charlotte went to visit her pop, Valentine, and told him about her creepy run heft with Sidwell. Charlotte told Valentine it was veritably clear that Sidwell was hanging Ace Cassadine by saying children that age can vanish if you're not watching them. Sidwell was principally hanging Charlotte at the same time. Valentine was really worried when he heard Sidwell hovered his son. Valentine knows what Sidwell is able of and that there are no lines he won't cross. He's more ruthless than Jack by far. Valentine told Charlotte to stay down from Sidwell and not to come back to Carly Corinthos Spencer's. Still, Valentine has to know that Charlotte will probably come back. Valentine Cassadine and Carly Corinthos Spencer plot a doubtful alliance on GH also. Valentine said to Carly that he demanded to leave so Charlotte can't show up and visit him presently, putting herself on the radar of people like Jack or Sidwell. Valentine needs to keep Sidwell down from Charlotte. He talked to Carly about the peril of Sidwell or indeed Jack Brennan snatching her. Carly told Valentine that he should form an alliance with Sidwell so that Joe can help them take down Jack. Valentine and Carly's new plan is that rather of him taking off, Valentine is going to stay in Carly's garret while he figures out how to reach Sidwell and move him. They can be abettors. Valentine thinks that with Sidwell's backing, he can expose Jack as the head of pikemen, exculpate himself, and keep Charlotte safe. Sidwell might like a shot at vengeance on Brennan because Brennan dropped losers on his camp in Africa. Sidwell nearly failed in that attack. And he lost a lot of men, accoutrements, and his entire hutment. Sneaking into Windmere. Valentine uses Ladle Island coverts on General Hospital. Valentine needs to figure out exactly how to go about reaching Sidwell. Valentine used to live at Windmere. Sidwell indeed brought that up when talking to Charlotte the other day, noting that she used to live on Ladle Island. Valentine knows Ladle Island, the coverts, the recesses, and the cracks. He surely spent a lot of time exploring and knows where the secret entrances and exits are. I go Valentine is going to sneak over to the islet to see Sidwell by creeping into the coverts. And Sanction 2026 General Hospital spoiler says Ava Jerome tells Sidwell she saw an busybody on the islet. I suppose it's Valentine she spots on Ladle Island. Once Ava warns Sidwell, he'll probably shoot Pascal to get the drop on Valentine. Sidwell will presumably tell Pascal to bring Valentine in without hurting him because we know Sidwell is interested in working with him. However, I anticipate Valentine will go freely because he came there to talk to Sidwell, not to avoid him, if Pascal finds him. Valentine Cassadine vs. Jack Brennan. A dangerous history with pikeman Valentine is hoping to work with Sidwell to cover Charlotte. As long as Jack is around, his son is going to be an ongoing target to use as influence against him. And Valentine told Carly he bothered that Jack might catch Charlotte to use as bait, but Carly claimed Jack is unable of doing that. So, Valentine has known Jack since they were in their 20s back when they were in WSB training before they both turned to the dark side. Valentine has a much better read on what Brennan is truly able of than Carly does because Jack has only shown Carly the better side of himself. Valentine knows all the dirt and where all the configurations in Brennan's history are buried. General Hospital Sidwell could be the answer to Valentine's problems if Valentine and Sidwell work together. It could be a pom-pom. Valentine wants Jack behind bars and would like to be vindicated so he can be free to see Charlotte again. It would be indeed better if Valentine sees Brennan put down fully, though that might not help exculpate him. The threat with Brennan going to captivity is he could try to talk his way out of it like he did ahead. Valentine thinks Sidwell is his stylish shot to get what he wants and end this manhunt. Chancing Anna Devane. Will Valentine save his former love? Valentine is likely going to make it a condition of working with Sidwell that Charlotte is fully off limits. However, he'll have peace of mind that the bad Joe won't go after Charlotte as long as he's cooperating, if Valentine can be of use to Sidwell. While he's there talking to Sidwell and poking around Windmere, Valentine may get further than he bargained for because we know that's where Anna is being held. I can see Valentine being thrown for a circle if he stumbles across Anna. Everybody in Port Charles thinks she's off on a mysterious WSB assignment. Right now, Emma Scorpio Drake, Jack, and others are starting to realize commodity's not relatively right. I suspect Sidwell took Anna hostage in vengeance for her part in his camp getting blown up in Africa. Further than that, I suppose Sidwell's secret mate, the Riddle Master who has a big tie to Anna, is involved. The Master is supposed to be revealed in February. While Valentine is lurking on Ladle Island, he may find Anna just as she's making an escape attempt. General Hospital casting news. The future of Valentine Cassadine and Jack Brennan. Sidwell having Anna is going to be a deal swell that will presumably have Valentine conniving against him. However, Valentine may have to pretend he doesn't watch about Anna because she broke effects off with him, if Sidwell asks him about it. He might play dumb or stay until after Sidwell helps him take down Jack. Our leaker told us Valentine Cassadine is only supposed to be on General Hospital through March. That could be enough time to take Jack down, save Anna, and conceivably deal with Sidwell. I don't suppose Valentine cares that important about Sidwell. While they could keep Valentine around longer, the leaker presently says he's not staying that long. General Hospital. Valentine rescues Anna. It would be amazing if Valentine is the one to save Anna. Valentine is formally risking his life to go cut a deal with Sidwell. And we know he'll risk anything for those he loves. The 2026 spoilers also say his love for Charlotte could literally be the death of Valentine. I suspect they'll take Jack down because our leaker also teased that Chris McKenna will exit as Jack Brennan in the spring. Perhaps he's killed by Sidwell, Valentine, or indeed Carly. Jack might wind up in Steinmauer, which would be ironic if Valentine is captured and transferred back there. They could wind up cellmates at the WSB high security captivity. Watch and see what happens when Valentine heads to Ladle Island to cut a deal with Sidwell. I'm laying that Valentine is going to spot Anna and try to figure out a way to save her. Emma, Max Scorpio, and Felicia Scorpio are also part of the trouble to save Anna, but I'd like to see Valentine as the idol of her story. Port Charles was brimming with tension and high stakes as the week unfolded, and Thursday's events only intensified the drama. Willow Kane, already walking a fine line between freedom and conviction, found herself at the center of a storm that could change her life forever. The courtroom had become the battleground for her custody and criminal case, and the whispers of victory and defeat hovered over every character in Port Charles. Willow's determination to regain control of her life and secure her children's future was palpable, and every action, every glance, every strategic move hinted at the resilience that had defined her journey so far. The episode opened with the heavy weight of anticipation in the air. Willow's trial victory had raised eyebrows across town. There was talk of her finally reclaiming some semblance of normalcy, but the path to that relief was littered with tension, threats, and the constant watchful eyes of adversaries who hoped to see her stumble. Alexis Davis, Willow's formidable attorney, had been at the heart of orchestrating a legal maneuver that could shift the balance in Willow's favor. It wasn't just about acquittal, it was about sending a clear message that Willow was not a woman to be underestimated. Alexis' unwavering confidence radiated through every strategy session, every whispered instruction to Willow, and even the casual conversations in hallways, which were often layered with subtext and calculated intent. In the courtroom, the focus turned to Michael Corinthos. Once the pillar of authority and parental strength, he now found himself under a microscope. Courtroom revelations had begun to dismantle his previously unshakable alibi. Every testimony, every revelation about the events surrounding Drew Kane's shooting, added layers of suspicion around him. The reality was stark: even if Willow were acquitted, Michael could not simply breathe easy. Investigations were likely to continue, and the questions surrounding his involvement, or potential missteps, were only beginning to mount. The tension was electric. Every character involved could feel the delicate balance between freedom and restriction teetering on a knife's edge. Willow, though, was evolving before everyone's eyes. The courtroom allowed her a platform to showcase strength, intelligence, and tactical skill. Fans watched as she carefully navigated every question, every insinuation, keeping a composed exterior while the undercurrent of her determination hinted at something far more potent. Her nerves, though occasionally betraying her, gave way to a renewed sense of purpose. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore, she was fighting for her children, for her right to guide their lives, and for the principle that she would not be cornered or intimidated. The courtroom was a stage, and Willow was determined to ensure that her performance would be both convincing and empowering. Outside the courtroom, the ripple effects of Willow's trial extended to Michael. His fears about losing custody, always present, were now magnified. The thought of Willow walking out a free woman, untainted by conviction, was more than unnerving. It was a direct challenge to the power he had held over his family, a reminder that control was never absolute in Port Charles. Michael's strategies, including the use of misleading narratives and falsified accounts, were under scrutiny, and the walls around him began to feel closer. Police investigations, past actions, and the corrupt judge bribery scandal loomed over his head like storm clouds, threatening to unleash consequences that even he might not be able to contain. In the midst of this chaos, Drew Kane remained a wild card. His intentions, always a mix of personal vendetta and legal maneuvering, had taken a sharp turn into the unpredictable. Drew hoped that by the time Willow's trial concluded, Michael would be behind bars, paving the way for Willow to secure full custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos. However, as the courtroom battles unfolded, it became clear that Drew's plan might not go as smoothly as he envisioned. He had underestimated the resilience of both Willow and Alexis, and the unpredictable nature of law, family dynamics, and personal vendettas in Port Charles. Drew's actions, though driven by a desire to influence outcomes, teetered on the edge of self-sabotage, leaving viewers to wonder if his fury would ultimately backfire. Meanwhile, back in the heart of Port Charles, alliances and schemes intertwined with the events of the trial. Valentine Cassadine, a character whose intelligence and ruthlessness had long been the stuff of legend, was plotting a high-stakes maneuver of his own. Recently, Charlotte Cassadine had confided in her father about a chilling encounter with Jen Sidwell, a figure whose capacity for manipulation and intimidation was unmatched. Sidwell's threats toward Ace Cassadine, and by extension Charlotte, had left Valentine deeply concerned. He understood the lengths to which Sidwell would go, the absence of moral boundaries, and the danger that his daughter faced simply by existing in a world intertwined with these forces. Valentine's protective instincts kicked into overdrive, and he knew that careful, calculated action was the only way to ensure Charlotte's safety. In a series of strategic meetings, Valentine and Carly Corinthos Spencer began to form an unlikely alliance. Though historically mistrustful of one another, the shared threat posed by Sidwell and Jack Brennan demanded cooperation. Valentine's proposal was audacious. He would align with Sidwell, using the alliance to protect Charlotte and gain leverage to deal with Jack Brennan, all while attempting to exonerate himself from lingering accusations and manipulate outcomes in his favor. Carly, pragmatic and shrewd, supported the idea, knowing that in Port Charles, temporary alliances were often the key to long-term survival. Their plan was dangerous but necessary, highlighting the intricate balance of trust, manipulation, and strategy that defined their world. Valentine's next moves involved the infamous Spoon Island tunnels, a network of secret passages known only to those who had lived in or studied Windermere extensively. By leveraging his knowledge of these hidden routes, Valentine planned to approach Sidwell directly, hoping to negotiate terms that would protect Charlotte and simultaneously advance his own objectives. Each step was fraught with risk. The tunnels were treacherous, the potential for ambush high, and the consequences of miscalculation potentially deadly. Yet, Valentine's determination and intimate knowledge of the island's geography gave him a unique advantage, one that he intended to exploit fully. Meanwhile, back at the Corinthos and Quartermain households, the fallout from courtroom revelations continued. Willow, now emboldened by her performance and the perceived shift in momentum, began to imagine the possibilities for reclaiming her life. Her mind raced with the strategies she could deploy, the measures she could take to solidify her role as a mother, and the ways she could navigate the legal and emotional minefield ahead. Each interaction, from Trina and Kai's investigative maneuvers to Alexis' continued guidance, provided her with the tools she needed to remain a formidable presence in Port Charles. Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor, ever the perceptive young investigators, were closing in on the truth about the shooting of Drew Kane. Using wily Corinthos as a pivot point to confirm details via ringtone, they uncovered evidence that challenged prior assumptions and reshaped the narrative. The revelation that the ringtone belonged to Willow, and not Michael, was a turning point, forcing both of them to re-evaluate their approach and anticipate the ramifications of this information. Their diligence and courage in the face of potential danger underscored the importance of vigilance, intuition, and ethical responsibility in unraveling complex situations. Drew Kane's behavior, increasingly erratic and volatile, continued to be a source of tension. His desire for retribution, coupled with a lack of foresight, created an atmosphere of unpredictability. While he believed his actions would secure justice or leverage, the reality was that his public outbursts, courtroom confrontations, and manipulative tactics increasingly isolated him from potential allies. The balance of power, already delicate, shifted subtly but significantly, illustrating the precarious nature of influence and authority in Port Charles. Amidst these unfolding events, Valentine Cassadine's pursuit of Sidwell added layers of suspense. His knowledge of Windermere and the surrounding tunnels positioned him uniquely to navigate dangerous encounters with finesse. The potential discovery of Anna Devane, held against her will and believed by many to be on a secret WSB assignment, added an emotional and moral dimension to Valentine's mission. The intertwining of past relationships, loyalties, and betrayals elevated the stakes, making each decision weighted with both personal and broader implications for the city's power dynamics. Valentine's strategic alliance with Sidwell, the potential exposure of Jack Brennan's misdeeds, and the protection of Charlotte Cassadine highlighted the intricate interplay of risk, morality, and loyalty. In this high-stakes game, every action carried consequences, and the margin for error was virtually non-existent. Yet Valentine's courage, intelligence, and willingness to put himself in danger for those he loved illustrated the profound depth of his character. His actions were both heroic and morally complex, reflecting the duality that often defines the most compelling figures in Port Charles. Throughout all this, Willow's custody battle remained a central thread. The potential for her to secure not only a not guilty verdict but also to reclaim full custody of her children added layers of suspense and anticipation. Each court session, each revelation, and each strategic decision moved the narrative toward a possible turning point where Willow could emerge empowered, vindicated, and ready to confront the challenges of parenthood in a world that often seemed poised to undermine her. As the day progressed, the interconnections between characters became increasingly evident. From Willow's courtroom strategy and Drew's unpredictable maneuvers to Valentine's high-stakes mission and Trina and Kai's investigative brilliance, every subplot contributed to a complex web of cause and effect. Encouraging words, clever strategy, tense confrontations, and subtle threats all combined to create a narrative of relentless suspense, where every choice had the potential to tip the balance between triumph and disaster. The culmination of these events reinforced several key themes that define General Hospital: the relentless pursuit of justice, the protective instincts of family, the intricate dance of power and manipulation, and the moral ambiguity of those who operate in shadows. Willow's journey, from vulnerability to strategic empowerment, mirrored the broader struggles faced by characters navigating love, loyalty, and justice in a city where every secret carried potential consequences. Looking ahead, the implications of Thursday's events were far-reaching. Willow's potential victory in court, Michael's growing legal and moral complications, Drew's unpredictable path, Valentine's daring maneuvers, and the hidden presence of Anna Devane all pointed to a narrative that would continue to escalate in tension, emotion, and drama. Each character's decisions carried weight, not only for themselves but for the broader ecosystem of relationships, rivalries, and alliances that define Port Charles. By the end of the day, fans were left with a rich tableau of intrigue, suspense, and emotional resonance. Willow's determination, Valentine's courage, and the complex interweaving of personal and legal conflicts reminded viewers why General Hospital remained a masterclass in storytelling. The city's pulse, marked by ambition, revenge, love, and loyalty, beat steadily through every scene, promising further twists, shocking revelations, and high-stakes confrontations in the days and weeks to come. In essence, Baptism Begins was not just an episode, it was a crucible where characters were tested, loyalties challenged, and futures rewritten. Willow Kane's fight for custody, Alexis Davis's legal brilliance, Drew Kane's volatility, Valentine Cassidy's strategic daring, and the looming presence of threats both human and institutional combined to create a narrative that was simultaneously empowering, suspenseful, and deeply human. Fans of the show were reminded that in Port Charles, every decision mattered, every secret had consequences, and every heart, whether steadfast or treacherous, could alter the course of destiny in profound and often unexpected ways. The episode closed with anticipation and unresolved tension, leaving viewers eager to see which alliances would hold, which threats would materialize, and which characters would emerge victorious in the high-stakes game of family, justice, and survival. Willow, emboldened yet cautious, prepared to reclaim her role as a mother. Valentine, daring and strategic, moved closer to his objective while navigating a treacherous web of adversaries. And the rest of Port Charles watched, waited, and wondered, in a city where loyalty is fleeting and danger is constant, who would ultimately triumph.